49ers insider Tim Kawakami continues to talk about how the 49ers are linked to a potential defensive lineman. And he's been on this for a while now. This is probably like the third time he's talked about it. He's tweeted about it a couple times, but I think this is the first time he's officially put it into an article and basically made it a report. He says, I've heard from a few NFL sources that the 49ers have been mentioned as a popular potential destination for at least a few top defensive linemen who have quietly started looking around should they get waived for salary savings or hit the trade market. So obviously, with that being said, there could be a couple names that come to mind, but this has been a reoccurring theme. This is also something that I heard down when I was in New Orleans for the Super Bowl on Radio Row. I came across some information as well, which if you have seen my Max Crosby posts, it's not just because it's hype season, even though it is smoke season. And if you are new to the channel, be aware, the smoke is everywhere. So the 49ers are always going to be linked to the top players, top free agents, top potential trades. It's just how it works. It's like clockwork with every offseason. What you're having to do is weed through that, weed through the noise, weed through the rumors, weed through the reports and the smoke to really try to find the real information. And I do feel like I've been very good at being able to weed through that. So what we're trying to now connect the dots with are things that I've heard, things that other people are hearing, and we bring them together and we're starting to get a picture that is being painted where it does look like the San Francisco 49ers, if they want to, could absolutely be in the market for some big name, either free agents or trade candidates. So there's a couple names that Tim Kawakami named. He named Trey Hendrickson, the sack leader last year with the Cincinnati Bengals. There's a chance that he doesn't get a contract extension with the Bengals and they move on. Maybe he becomes a potential trade candidate there. You talk about Myles Garrett. We all know about that. He is the number one piece right now. But he is 29 years old and he will be looking for a massive payday. So maybe there's a world that is kind of in the middle. And that's where, again, Max Crosby keeps popping up. He's 27 years old. I don't think he would demand quite the payday as our friend from the Browns would. And I think, as people keep, pushing back on, that he could actually be traded to the 49ers. If everything that we keep hearing, it is not the old way of doing things with the Oakland Raiders. You now have Tom Brady, who was in the driver's seat, being a huge instrumental part of this. He doesn't care about the 49ers, and he doesn't care that they used to share a market. He doesn't care about it. This is business. We need to get better. We need to stack assets. We're not going to make prudent moves just to be, prideful or spiteful. And so I do think, and people forget that the 49ers were in trade talks with the Raiders last year to try to get Jacoby Myers when they were looking for a potential option if Ayuk wasn't going to work out. So those talks were happening. They were having those conversations. So if they're having those conversations now or then, what's stopping them from having conversations now? Now, obviously, they talked about players being potentially waived. You look at Joey Bosa as being a name, Khalil Mack, those types of guys. But again, they're in that Leonard Floyd tier. Even Joey Bosa, he's been hurt a lot over the last 3 seasons, and availability has been his biggest issue. And we know the 49ers put a huge emphasis on availability. They've basically kind of let us in on that in their thought processes to go and sign Yetur Gross-Matos. One of the key reasons they brought him in was because he had never been injured. And unfortunately, with how things worked out, he gets signed by the 49ers and he's injured. But I do think that is something that they take very seriously. It's something that, I don't think you can overlook. I think it's something that I maybe have overlooked in the past. And, I think of guys like Caleb Farley when he was coming out, just loved loved him as a prospect, but he had a ton of injury concerns. And you see what happens. There have been multiple guys that had legitimate red flags with injuries that I've kind of looked past, and they've gotten hurt again. So, there's something to it. And as 49er fans know, with Trent Baalke, who's drafted an ACL prospect after ACL prospect, and the luck that we've had, with the current regime, I don't think injury-riddled players are kind of where the 49ers are looking right now. So, to me, Max Crosby continues to be the name that I keep coming back to. I know people don't think it's a possibility. I do. Does that mean it's going to happen? No, it doesn't. There's a lot of things that have to fall into play for a move of that magnitude to go down. But, the cap rising nearly 10% is a huge benefit. Understanding that it's likely going to rise another 10% next year is another kind of way to project out. Like, well, okay, how do you trade for Max Crosby, who has 2 years on his deal, and but you have to give him a new contract? That's the whole reason why he would get traded, is because he doesn't have any guaranteed money yet left on his deal, and the Raiders have to either sign him to a contract extension or look into trying to kind of rebuild, which is, I think, what they're doing with Tom Brady at the helm. They're rebuilding, and Max Crosby has been there for a while, and they haven't won anything with him. So although you do need elite edge, they could look to potentially ship him off. And let's say the 49ers dangle pick 11 out there. And when you look at this draft, they talk about how it's not a top-heavy draft. So I honestly think the 49ers' best options are either trade back and acquire more assets to pick in the top 100, or take pick 11 and trade it for a proven commodity like a defensive lineman. So there's a lot of stuff that keeps coming back to the defensive line. It continues to be a big topic. Again, I heard this at the Super Bowl from someone that is extremely plugged in and I trust very, 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 very much. And you're now hearing this from guys like Tim Kawakami, he's very, whether you like Tim or not, and I know a lot of people have opinions on Tim, he's plugged in. He does get this information and he shares it. And I do think it's worth at least having a conversation about. Will it come to fruition? Will the 49ers make a big trade for the defensive line? I don't know. That remains to be seen. But I think it's worth listening to. And I think with smoke season and everything going on, I do think that you have to keep it as a potential range of outcome, which is exactly what I'm going to be doing. Will the 49ers actually make a move? I don't know. We'll find out. But you guys let me know if they should and what that move should be. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.